what are some clues that marketing's not doing its job to grow our sales?
Well, the first thing, do you assign a job to every marketing task in your business or not? Because if each marketing task doesn't have a specific KPI of metric associated with it, then it typically means it's not doing a lot for you. Marketing is not a task. Marketing is an activity, it's a function. And I think that a lot of times as business owners who are marketed to all the time and who are marketed to by other marketers all the time, it can just suddenly feel like, I just need to market, like blah. And it's actually like, no, the job of your marketing, right? The role of marketing in your business overall is to help drive those sales and all that sort of thing. But if you don't know how to connect the dots between the work and the impact of that work, then you are in trouble.
It's not every day on the Art of Online Business podcast that you get to hear what we heard on our previous episode with Frenchie Ferenczi. And you want to hear that, please go to the previous episode. But it was a very real snapshot into the growth of her business and some challenges that she was experiencing with it this year. I know that I liked it. You liked it, Jamie?
I loved it.
Yeah.
Very honest.
Very, very honest.
Mm-hmm. Because most people they can't identify with I just started this business and everything went super well for me. I'm not sure who that really resonates with. Like, everyone has had their challenges, and it encourages other people to know, like, we're not in this alone,
Right.
Yeah.
So listen to this episode, because we're going to talk about, we're going to listen, and Frenchie's going to talk about how to make sure your marketing is doing its job to grow your sales and not just sucking up your time. So, like, hello out there, you're listening. Can you relate? Because Frenchie's going to break it down for you. And what qualifies her to do this? Let me tell you. Pretty impressive resume. She's a business consultant and advisor who helps founders, creatives, and business leaders optimize their path to revenue and impact. Frenchie's mission is to build thriving business leaders who get meaningful results and leave a mark on others and feel proud of their work daily. Back in her career, she's scaled $100 million businesses like The Wing. If you're in New York and you've ever done co-working, then you would know of The Wing. She's managed teams of over 50 people, mentored over 1,000 entrepreneurs. She's been featured in Forbes and Fast Company, and among other things, she lives in New York City, which is, I would say, a measure of success itself if you can survive there. Frenchie, welcome back to our podcast.
Thank you so much.
You're very, very welcome.
I'm glad to have you.
Very, very welcome. Frenchie, my first question for you is, aside from the obvious, where we're not making money, what are some clues that marketing's not doing its job to grow our sales and just sucking up our time?
Okay. Early clues. Well, the first thing is, do you assign a job to every marketing task in your business or not? Because if each marketing task doesn't have a specific KPI of sorts or like metric associated with it, then it typically means it's not doing a lot for you. So I say that with some space, because it's not like I'm like, every single Instagram post needs to generate 20 new followers in my world, right? But if I were a creator whose Instagram audience was essentially was really foundational to my business model, I would need to be looking at metrics like that to assign actual value to my tasks and work that I put out there. So I would say that is the first piece. Is like, what is the actual job that you need it to do? And we're going to talk more about the potential jobs that marketing can do in a second. I think the other piece is actually probably broader, but is marketing is not a task. Marketing is an activity, it's a function. And I think that a lot of times as business owners who are marketed to all the time and who are marketed to by other marketers all the time, and so on and so forth, it can just suddenly feel like, I just need to market, like blah. And it's actually like, no, the job of your marketing, right? The role of marketing in your business overall is to help drive those sales and all that sort of thing. But if you don't know how to connect the dots between the work and the impact of that work, then you are in trouble. But marketing is not like an activity in and of itself. And so I think the second piece, or the second reason why marketing might not be working, or a sign that it might not be working, is that you are thinking about it as just marketing rather than getting more specific and thoughtful about what it's supposed to do. So these are my teasers to the meat of all of this.
thinking about it as marketing, but not getting real purposeful about what it's supposed to do.
Well, it's even like right now, we just finished, at the time of this recording, we just finished Black Friday. We're going into Christmas season. This episode will come out like the New Year, so there could be some New Year sales and stuff. But it just seems like we were just talking about our email inboxes were just flooded for
Yeah.
Black Friday. And it does make you feel like, as you know, a marketer being in the online space, like, oh gosh, I have to do something too for Black Friday, you know? And so it's just like, maybe we should throw an offer together, you know?
Oh my goodness. I know. I also got some like really suspiciously similar emails over Black Friday that were like, I'm not going to name names. All I'm going to say is that clearly a bunch of people did the same program and then copied and pasted the same emails with the same subject lines. That's all I'm going to say. And my point about that is unrelated slightly to what I'm saying, but I do think that personalizing and kind of getting more specific about what you're doing and how you're doing it differently can help you stand out. So that's just my side note about Black Friday.
I will also go ahead and confess that while I did not take the program that was being taken, I have, because I'm not skilled in the written word, looked at emails from businesses that I aspire to be or respect and maybe like taken the subject line or the email body and sent it out with some customized parts. But now to redeem myself, I will say that as we're talking right now, the copywriter that I hired, her name's Sam from Nomad Copy. She is quite amazing. She's in the same group as us, the Mixer Mind. She's finishing up a project that's redoing my website and some emails, so to speak. So now I am investing. So I do repent from stealing other emails. And I am investing in getting my own emails. So there.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So anyways, I got sidetracked by my bone to pick with Black Friday and the sheep nature of all of that. But to answer your question, or how I think about marketing overall, right, is like people are like, I need to market. And it's like a little bit of this, like, just like imagine splashing paint on a wall. But actually, what we need to think about is how we break down marketing into smaller parts. And so I really focus when I'm working with people on breaking this down into what I call the 5 core functions of marketing. I did not invent this. So when I say what I call, I think it's just like what I learned or what I, what I teach, what I discovered. But really thinking about our marketing in 5 core areas. So the first is lead generation. That typically tends to be one area that people are familiar with or like relate to. Second is nurturing, which is how we are building know, like, and trust with our audience, right? Whether it's our email list, so on and so forth. Third function is conversion, which is that moment that somebody goes from being a lead to a client. I know these definitions are not like foreign to all of you. I just want to define them as I use them because sometimes that differs from person to person. Fourth part, this one's really, really important. This is a secret sauce, especially for people who have like more done for you services. Delivery. Delivery is a marketing activity. Delivering well to your clients, and QUÄY.jo, I'm sure you can speak to this, is like super core to your marketing because it's how you build trust with people who've already paid you and drive the next part of the 5 core functions, which is upsells, referral, or retention, right? People will not talk about you if they don't have a great experience with you. People will not talk about you if they don't like think that you are going to make them look good. People are not going to renew with you if they haven't had a good experience with you, so on and so forth. So increasing the lifetime value of your customers is really reliant on delivery. And I say that because I think not enough people in the online space actually talk about the importance of delivery as a marketing tool. It's not just about delivery and client experience. It's actually a marketing tool. So I really think about marketing through these 5 core areas. And what that starts to shift in terms of, that initial question that you asked me, how do you know if your marketing is not working for you, is that you actually start to look at it in these different areas. And so then you start asking yourself, is my lead generation strategy working? Not, is my marketing strategy working? Is my nurture strategy working? Is my conversion strategy working? And you get to be more specific. And then as you get more specific, then you can actually start to like unpack the actual problem rather than just be like, no one's buying from me, so my marketing's not working. Well, what does that mean actually? And how do you define it more specifically?
So kind of work your way up, let's call it the ladder or the bullet points, the numbers, back to whichever step is not actually doing its job.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think the piece with this that I always then am like connect to this is that, yes, this is the work. These are the tasks. All of this needs to ladder up into a revenue roadmap. Like, what is your target number of clients per offer every month? Right. And which of these levers of marketing are you pulling to drive that? So I've seen clients like 2x or 3x their revenue by focusing 6 to 12 months of the year as their main marketing focus is upsell. It's like upsell, retention, renewal, referral. And by just focusing on that, they actually grow their business. And so most people will come to me and be like, I just need more leads. Sure, that's a nice to have. But I've seen people actually at the bottom of the funnel, bottom end of that journey, be able to really, really grow their revenue and impact. And in the last episode, I talked a little bit about how I had this business model set up that was like a program leading into an upsell on the back end. And that upsell on the back end was a key part of my business model. And so I say that because sometimes, that can be one area. When people struggle to sell, a lot of times what I hear is like, I'm just bad at selling, and they focus on the conversion piece. I would say conversion for most people is like the least important marketing tool. Everyone thinks it's the most important or one of the most important because that's just like, we all feel kind of just disappointed after a sales call where somebody isn't like an instant yes and isn't just like throwing their credit card at us. But in general, what I've seen with conversion is that it's just an output of the right leads being nurtured really effectively. If you have the right lead come in, and this because of what you do in the ads world, like, and how it actually converts into sales, like if you are capturing the right audience and then they're onboarding into a nurture funnel, nurture sequence, nurture experience that is strong, they're going to buy the product on the back end of it. Like if that resonates with them. And so I think that we sometimes personalize the conversion piece, but actually if we go upstream, it can deliver more for us. So this is really what I mean when I start to say your marketing has to work for you, is that it's work that needs to have a job, right? The jobs are these core functions, and those core functions need to be then connected to your revenue roadmap and your actual revenue sales and targets.
Is my marketing doing lead gen, nurturing, converting? Is my delivery actually increasing lifetime value of my customer? Am I doing the delivery right? And then like, what's going on in my business with upsells, referral, or retention, or renewal? Having asked this like question, well, it's a question and a summary for me. Well, I'm really curious now, a real question. What if we feel like delivery needs to improve? Do we just focus on that, or do we look at or do we cover lead gen or nurturing, like something higher up the ladder that could be, or higher up the hierarchy that could be maybe broken, but then there's something lower down, like the customer journey, that we know needs to improve?
Yep, really good question. I think that there's two parts to the answer. Because what I was going to say is you were doing your summary is like, and for most people, if you're solo or have a really small team, you can't prioritize all of these at once. So this also really starts to force you to prioritize. So I think that's just something to keep in mind, is like the trick about all of these is that they all feel like, I talk a lot about doing the right work at the right time. These all feel like the right work, right? This is all smart things to work on. It's like, well, but which one first? So one depends on resourcing. Like, do you have the teams and resources to focus on all of it at once? Your specific question, if delivery can improve, should I focus on that? So this is a little bit of a trade-off question because you run the risk of, slowing down sales for a period of time to improve that delivery, but then it's a kind of an investment in longer term growth. I would say I would probably approach it with a very similar approach that you would take, which is running ads to a broken nurture funnel is probably not going to do anything for your business. So you would probably tell a client that you need to fix what's happening between ad and sale in order to drive those sales. And so I think that it's a similar experience on the delivery side, which is if you keep bringing people into a delivery experience that you're not proud of, right? I don't even want to say a not good delivery experience, but just a delivery experience that you're not proud of. I would say, and I would, depending on your runway, if you can, air quotes, afford to do it, optimize the delivery experience and then build the top of funnel. And hopefully that optimized delivery experience will help to drive that referral funnel and that top of funnel.
Very good. As we always say here, Jesus saves, Ads do not.
Right? Getting an eyeball on bad offer or bad delivery that's not a good business make. You don't want more eyeballs on what's not working.
Right.
What you're talking about, Frenchie,
Mhm.
brings to mind a client that I had. I won't say the niche to protect their identity, but this client is crushing it when it comes to referrals. Or maybe when you were talking about the referral and renewal, like I've gotten, I think to date, like 4.
Yeah.
I don't know, not that this is a tactic that you can just repeat and do, but like 4 Starbucks cards. Like the first one came and it was like, thank you, for referring somebody to me. And then the second one came and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And the third one came and I'm like, now I'm wanting to open the the letters that are, because these are like, physical Starbucks cards coming in the mail in Mexico of all places, right?
Yeah,
From this
that's the other thing.
client.
Like, we don't get mail here
Right.
usually. Like, very rarely. Like, my aunt, we get a Christmas card from her like in February because that's when it arrives.
Yeah. And then another one came and it was like a customized
Mhm.
Starbucks card. I actually don't have it right here on me. And it came in a customized card with this funny like football, American football for our international audience, illustration on it that had like this like kind of quirky analogy, like tying in football to, like we are a team, whatever, to like their service that they provide. And with that fourth one, now I'm like, I didn't even really care about this before, but I'm sure I could find some friends to refer to this person.
Yeah. I'm like invested in
You
him.
You're like, how close is your nearest Starbucks? You're not even really getting to cash in on this referral.
Well, no, we got one.
Yeah, we have a
You have one
Starbucks
right there. Okay.
10 minutes
All right.
down
I
the
wasn't
road.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I take my kids there. I haven't had Starbucks now. I've been coffee free for a year and like 3 months.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
impressive.
But my kids like to go and get
Not
coffee,
me,
as
just
in
to
hot
clarify.
chocolate. No, she's coffee every day. She's coffee every day.
So when you say they're crushing it on the referrals, they are okay. Well, actually, here's a really good question for you. We're going to keep this person's identity private, but what I'm assuming, I misunderstood when you said they're crushing it on referrals, so that's why I was like, I'm assuming you have referred this client to a lot of people.
One person.
So
So
why did
maybe
you
I
get
meant
4 gift cards?
Oh, good question. Why did I get 4 gift cards? I don't know.
I was doing random math. I was like, I'm assuming it's a gift card per client that you've referred over.
No, it's a gift card. I think the second gift card was just to remind us again that they were happy for the first referral. I wasn't complaining. The third and fourth gift cards, I can't actually off the top of my head remember. No, the fourth one I do remember because I talked about like the football illustration on like the front cover of the card and everything. That was it's going into like this client's peak time season right now because their business has like a very clear annual cycle, and that was a remember me because like we're a team and we can score a touchdown together, you know. So it was like a reminder gift card, but yeah.
Wait, so what part of their referral business are you like, wow, this is amazing? Is most of their business or most of their sales through referrals?
A significant portion is, and I was referring to specifically to the positive sentiment that getting these cards produced in me, and the desire, which is there now, where they're top of mind. And I'm thinking, because like many of my friends would use their service, thinking, who can I refer to get some more gift cards so I can take my kids to Starbucks? I do know that because I'm an ads manager, that their leads are quite profitable, though.
Got it. Okay. That totally makes sense. But yes, and I think that like I mean, if you think about it, right, a referral program or an affiliate program is not all that different. And so some people will, which is, I think referrals are stronger than affiliates in terms of trust, like because of all the obvious reasons. But there are people whose entire business model and whose entire like kind of nurture to convert model is affiliates and is getting other people to promote their businesses because it does work and it does, work effectively for people. So I say all of that just to again reiterate the importance of the specificity of making sure that the marketing activity is tied to a specific target within your business. Um, And at the end of the last episode, I talked about this idea of staying close to the money, right? And how that's like such a core tenet to what I teach and what I do. And what I'm really thinking about when I talk about that with people is like, if we have these 5 core functions and we have clarity on what the revenue is, which of these do we actually focus on that is most likely to drive revenue and results for us? And sometimes I quite literally count people through the steps between like action and potential revenue. So I'll have a client be like, well, okay, today I just like really need to make a reel. And then, I have some client delivery work and then whatever. I'm like, okay, great. Let's talk about the reel as the example. You're going to make a reel. You're going to post it on Instagram. You're going to hope that somebody engages with it on Instagram. You're going to perhaps, if you're like really proactive, DM that person and try to build a relationship with them. And then maybe they're going to get on a call with you and then maybe they're going to buy something from you. So we're talking about like 6, 7 steps there. Or you can be like, well, I just really want that reel to go viral and help me grow my Instagram audience, right? Okay, odds are like low of this actually all happening. Or you can just be like, you know what? I don't really need to focus so much on lead gen right now. I have a lot of people in my world who I've nurtured who I've met, who I've connected with. What if I just reached out to 3 people and had a coffee chat with them because they could either be a good client or partner and I just connected with them? That is 1 step, 2 steps maybe away from a potential sale. Doesn't mean it's automatically going to convert, especially because it might just be a connection call, not a sales call. But the point is like there's a lot less steps between the two, especially if you are thinking about a higher ticket business model. So that's kind of one example of staying close to the money. I think another example of staying close to the money for people who do run higher volume businesses is, okay, I think this is really relevant in the ad space as well. So I think like clarifying it is important, which is like, if you know that your funnel, right, that your onboarding funnel works to drive sales to whatever it is that you're doing. By the way, I kind of hate the word funnel. I'm just using it because it's like easy to use and it just makes sense. But if you know that it works and you're like, okay, for me to stay close to the money, I now know that if somebody comes in to this funnel, the odds of them converting into a paying client are X%. And I feel good about that conversion percentage. And all you know that is that you then need to grow the number of people going into that funnel to get that result. Then ads start to make a lot of sense. And ads, yes, it's more like it doesn't feel as close to the money as say like calling somebody. But if you know that those numbers are going to work, then ads might be really close to the money because that's what sets off the like passive income, aka more automated workflow type of thing. So close to the money doesn't always mean like high touch, because I think sometimes people are like, but that's not scalable. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, most of us are not really scaling in that big of a way. So like, let's just calm it down. But if we are, we have to know which different parts of these 5 core functions are working and how well they're working, so that then we can like fuel them with the humans to go through them.
Okay. This would be a good time to talk about this resource that you have that helps business owners do the right work at the right time.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about it. So I, like many online business owners, have written regular emails for a long time. And at a certain point in time, I was like, you know what? I want to make these emails hyper useful to people. And I can my stories, people love my stories. Don't get me wrong. But what I built out is a weekly newsletter email check-in every Sunday at 6 p.m. that goes into people's inboxes. It asks them 5 questions about their businesses and what they're prioritizing for the week ahead. Those 5 questions came after years of just kind of like doing these sorts of check-ins with clients. And so that email will get delivered to your inbox every Sunday. You get to answer the questions. You also get to ask me a question if you answer, and ask me anything. So it's kind of like just like business support in your pocket to really help you focus and prioritize on the right work at the right time.
I like that.
They're different questions each week?
Nope. Same
They're
5
the same
questions
question.
every week.
Okay.
So it's like if I'm lacking that accountability because I'm not thinking about this, I can go and sign up, and then there your emails are prompting me right where it matters.
Nice.
So that's in the show notes and descriptions below. Thank you for sharing that.
Of course.
What does it look like once all 5 of these, lead gen, nurturing, conversion, delivery, upsells, referral, retention, and renewal, are working right? Like, we can't get them all perfect, but when a good number of them are doing what they're supposed to do, like, what have you seen in some of your clients?
Yeah. So I would say smooth is the word that comes to mind, right? Like imagine this kind of example where let's just say your lead gen strategy is podcast guesting and promoting a freebie, right? And then those people get your freebie, you have a welcome sequence that brings them in, send them weekly emails, you go to launch. Your launch is successful because you brought in the right leads, you nurtured them really well, they sold. You deliver really well, that's great. They become your evangelists who refer you. They also decide to keep working with you, right? That is like the flow that we're like, this is what I'm going for. This is the dream scenario and state. And so I think that for most of us, this is never all cylinders firing on all accounts at 100% because that's just like the nature of the game. And I think when I think about my role as a strategist, it's actually about getting to the root cause problem. So, like I mentioned earlier, sometimes conversion feels like the pain point for people. Um, and actually, when we start to look at it, we're like, well, actually, you're just not nurturing these people. So, if we could solve your nurturing strategy, you're going to be much better off. Or you're just not bringing the right leads. Like you keep bringing in business owners who are, let's just say, making 0 to 30K, but really like your programs are better suited to somebody who's making 100K plus or whatever it is. And so there's a discrepancy. So what this starts to do is it really starts to help us clarify what's broken. And our strategies are essentially tools and solutions to overcome what's broken, right? And to fix what's broken. So I used one example earlier of this for a client, right? Which was like actually just focusing on upsell for a period of time, like really help them grow their business and actually make that more of a lever that they can pull. The Instagram example I used really has helped a lot of people shift away from thinking about like lead generation as like volume and actually focusing much more on kind of collapsing the timeline between lead gen and nurture and just focusing on relationship building and connection as a key pathway to that. And so you just get like, I want to say a little bit snappier in your choices and decisions when you're like, what marketing job does this have? And then how do I actually make sure this is close to the money from what I know about my business and the insights that I have about my business?
I like
Nice.
it.
That's good. Yeah. So someone working with you, like you would help them kind of troubleshoot, so to speak, those 5 core functions and say, this is kind of where it's broken. This is what we need to work on.
We look at what's happening at each part. We look at the data at each part and we start to break it down. We're like, what is actually going on with each of these? But I also sometimes use this as a quick diagnostic because like I kind of mentioned, and I think this is relevant to a lot of people who are going to be listening to this, which is almost everyone is like, yeah, it's just a lead gen problem, right? And I'm usually like, if you're just starting or if you're launching something new or, there's a kind of like a lot of reasons, lead gen tends to not be the first area where I'm like, that's what's broken. I'm usually like, you're probably like, in general, first line of defense is like, how well are you nurturing people? That's typically where I'm like, look at that. Or like I said, the delivery piece. But for people who are earlier stage, I would say nurturing. I think for people who are kind of like later stage, I think it's actually about taking that zoomed out view, like I mentioned earlier, like, there's no point in running ads to a broken funnel type of thing of like, if I were to have a lot of volume, would I actually be able to have a really smooth journey and experience for them? Like, would I be able to take them through this smooth thing where by the end of it, they'd be like, yes, I love Frenchie or whoever, and I'm going to just like be in their world forever.
Speaking of being in the world forever, where can somebody hear more from you, your thought process, and your really good, well-grounded ideas?
Thank you. My newsletter is one place, so sign up for that. Otherwise, I hang out on Instagram a lot. Instagram is like a home for some business stuff and some just like me being totally unhinged stuff. Like when I found out that like women are less likely to survive CPR because dummies don't have breasts and like nobody practices on it. So yeah. And so I share that with like a lot of rage and anger, So it's really just If you want to get to know me more, Instagram's a good place for that.
All right. Frenchie Unhinged, which
All
sounds
right.
like it's going to be the next rival to like SNL or The Daily Show, honestly.
Oh, that's really generous. I was about to say The Real World, but okay.